Moving in right now, we have some rain over the metro Atlanta right now. These are general showers with some moderate to heavy rain, but what we're watching right now is this line of storms that's pushing in from northwest Georgia, stretching back into Alabama. This is the part that we have to watch for, not only the potential for some heavy rain with this, but also we're watching the storm risk with it as well. And we have some updates to tell you about. We had those updates with Danielle Moss during our midday show at 11 o'clock that you just saw here, showing that the Storm Prediction Center has elevated part of our area to a level 2 of 5 risk. We're also watching where the Storm Prediction Center is also telling us that there's a 40% chance that some of our counties may be included in a tornado watch potentially coming soon. So we just wanted to come on with you for a little bit longer of long form discussion on what we're watching here with all of the action that is going on right now. Forgive me for putting on my glasses here. We're kind of keeping an eye on what we're watching from the National Weather Service and any types of watches or warnings that will be issued. So far, they have been issuing what we call special weather statements from the National Weather Service. In fact, that we have one of those in effect right now for an area of Floyd and Polk County up in Rome. We're keeping an eye on this part in northwest Georgia right now. That is the area most favored for some of that heavy rain and the potential for some stronger storms. I see a couple of lightning strikes with this. Let me show you our lightning counter right now, and you can see that we don't have a lot of lightning in association with this right now, but it is something that we of course are keeping a close eye on with these storms as they are rolling on through. We'll query this for you right here so you can see really over northwest Georgia we have only 2 lightning strikes. Now what we have to watch for with these storms is the amount of instability that we have with this, or any type of shear within our atmosphere to not only cause any severe weather, but also watching the potential for any rotation that could develop, and that is on the lower end. However, we are seeing as this line moves through and as we see the very mild air that we're watching here for the afternoon hours, that we could see some of those ingredients coming together to give us maybe some severe thunderstorm warnings. It's not out of the question that we could have a stronger storm develop out of this, maybe a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. It's not out of the question we could have a tornado warning come out of this as well. If we do see any tornado warnings, we think that it would be some brief, quick spin-ups that would happen, but nothing really like an EF5 or anything like that. So this is what we're going to be watching here as we go through the day. The systems that we've been watching, I mentioned that special weather statement that the National Weather Service has issued for areas of Polk County and also Floyd County. The main issues we have with that right now, 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, and also we have the moving to the northeast at about 50 miles an hour. We don't have any hail in associate. Well, it says pea-size hail possible with this. We're not seeing a lot of confirmation of that hail with that right now, but a lot that we are going to be watching here continuing through the rest of the afternoon hours. We'll clear this query here for you so we can get a closer look. While I'm looking at that, I also want to show you what we're watching. This is our tower cam right now in Rome, and you can see the heavy rain that we have in association with this right now. Coming down, all the clouds, the rain that's moving in. Look at the flags there. We're not seeing a lot of wind with this rain that's moving through the Rome area right now, but of course something that we want to keep an eye on if those winds start to ramp up a little bit more. Contrast that in northwest Georgia with what we're seeing here in the Atlanta area right now. And of course we have the cloud cover, we have some of the rain around, but it's not as heavy as what they're dealing with right now up in areas of northwest Georgia where those storms are a little bit stronger. So let's go back to what we're watching right now in northwest Georgia with those storms that are continuing to move on through right now. And you'll see here what we're watching. Then I'm going to show you the convective outlook, the update that came in just a little bit earlier today here, increasing that risk here of maybe some stronger storms to be to the south and also to the west of us. Here again is that look at those storms moving in. Let's focus first on the city of Atlanta, where in inside the perimeter, we don't have a lot going on here. You'll notice here just some, we're okay inside the perimeter, but we're keeping an eye on the storms north and west of us. These with some heavier rain in parts of Cherokee County, mainly light rain, but once you get over into areas of Paulding County, that's actually Cobb County here, sorry. Once you get over to Paulding County, we have some heavier rain. Polk County, this is where we have some of that heavier rain. Haralson County, actually, Polk County, Cedartown up towards southern Floyd is where we have that part of the storm that has winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour. On the south side of Atlanta, we're watching these showers here. These are general showers. We don't have any lightning with them, but it is giving us a good bit of rain around. It's that heavier rain stretching from the northern parts of Fayette County to Clayton County, southern Fulton County getting in on some of that. That moves over into northern Henry County, also into Newton County, Rockdale County, DeKalb County. You're getting some of that more moderate rain that continues to move through there as well. And let me widen out. We'll put this into motion. And these are the main parts that we are watching. Again, these showers and storms on the south side, we're about to see some of this move into the Atlanta area. It had a little bit of lightning with it earlier in Fayette County, but now that that's getting closer to the city, we're not seeing as much lightning with this. Where we are seeing some lightning and a little bit more of that instability, it's with this part in northwest Georgia. You can see these heavier showers extending up into parts of Murray County, Whitfield County, up around the Dalton area. Heaviest rain right now in Floyd County and there in parts of Polk County. That's where we have been seeing those winds of about 40 to 50 miles an hour, and then that extends back into the Alabama area. So I want you folks over in Cleburne County, Alabama, to be knowing that this part of the storm in Anniston is headed your way. That would then go in Randolph County. You'll get some of that rain a little bit later, but this is the main part we're watching here in northwest Georgia, where we see that heavier rain and where we do have that bit of a storm risk with some of those winds, as I mentioned, between 40 to 50 miles an hour. In order for this to become a severe thunderstorm warning, that's when we have winds of 56, 57 miles an hour or greater over parts of, if that happens in northwest Georgia, they would elevate this to a severe thunderstorm warning. Also a severe thunderstorm warning, the threshold for that would be hail of a ½ inch in diameter or larger. And again, the warning was showing that we had let me see, we have a new statement here. Okay, this is still the same one for Haralson and also Polk County. The threshold, again, for a severe thunderstorm warning is when winds would be above 56, 57 miles an hour, and again, that potential for hail. The special statement that we had from Polk County and also Floyd County indicated some pea-size hail. We're not seeing a lot of confirmation on that out there right now. In fact, let me put on our hail product right here, and you'll be able to see what we are watching. Now, we are not really detecting any hail out of that right now, but again, it's something that we will keep an eye on to see if any hail develops. This isn't really a classic setup for any large hail to develop, but again, it is possible with any of that instability coming in that we could see some developing here. Here's another closer look at the city of Atlanta. We'll also show you this up here in northwest Georgia, and then I want to look at the bigger picture here because this will kind of give you a better look at what we're watching, not only what we have here in the Atlanta area, but there's that line of storms in northwest Georgia extending back into really just to the south and east of Birmingham. And we don't have any warnings back in Alabama. A lot of times we, look and see what's happening in Alabama and forecast that coming into our area. But the air this morning or before noon has been a little more stable back into Alabama. The problem is, as this is moving into our area, we have plenty of warm air. We're not going to see big jumps in our temperatures today, but this is just the afternoon hours where we can see that instability rising a little bit more. And that's why we are highlighting some spots in our state where we have that potential for some storms to develop that could turn strong. Here is the latest that we have right now. You can see the green color that we showed you as of last night. That green color, or that marginal risk, was mainly an area south of the city that did not include Atlanta, and we didn't have, let me go back to this really quick, we didn't have any green. I'm going to shrink this level 2 just a little bit so you can see that a little bit better here. We did not have any areas of yellow over us as of yesterday, but the Storm Prediction Center just within the past hour or so elevated these parts of west central Georgia and areas south of Atlanta in that level 2 risk, meaning there is potential that some of those storms, a little better chance that we could have a few more instead of isolated stronger storms. We could have a few of those scattered storms around as well. So here again, I'm sorry I'm keeping zooming in and out of that, but we're kind of going with this on the fly here. So here we are in Atlanta, where the level 1 risk has been elevated or expanded up to include the Atlanta area, parts of South Gwinnett, South Cobb, over into areas of South Paulding, also southern Haralson County, where there is the potential for more isolated, stronger storms. However, just to the south here, that area that you see in yellow, that includes Henry County, Butts County, also over into the southern parts of Clayton County, southern Fayette. We have central and southern Coweta, as well as these areas of Heard County and Troup County. That line down to the south, going down into central Georgia, down toward the Columbus area, that is the area a little more favored for that potential for a couple of stronger storms to develop. And if we have a tornado watch issued, and again, the National Weather Service is telling us that there is a 40% chance from their mesoscale discussion that they issued just a little while ago, that there is the potential that a couple of those storms could turn strong. So that's why we wanted to kind of give you this extended weather discussion of what we're watching here on radar right now, and with those potential threats for any storms to be moving through our area. The main timeline that we're watching, let me show you the progression of these storms that we're watching right now. The main timeline that we're watching, this is our graph model that shows pretty much where those storms are right now, where you can see we've got scattered showers here. That line is what we're watching to move through during the afternoon hours. This takes us to 5 o'clock today. So you see that line really slicing from northeast Georgia down into the Atlanta area, stretching on down toward LaGrange. This is what we're going to be watching for the rest of, the rest of the afternoon, with that line that's going to be moving through our area. And it's within that line at any time of the day that we have the potential that some of those storms could turn strong. The main ingredients that we're going to be watching will be that potential for heavy rain is the main thing that we're going to be watching. And there's even going to be the potential that in some of these cells that move through, we could see some isolated flooding developing there. There's also the risk for some strong winds. That's on the lower end, as well as a low end risk for any brief spin-ups to occur with a tornado risk that would be moving through our area for the daytime hours. So this is at 5 o'clock tonight. Again, as these storms kind of progress and move through our area through the evening hours, we'll see some improvements, but it doesn't totally end. That main line would go from Athens toward Covington, continuing to move over to the east, but we still have this redevelopment back in areas of Alabama coming into West Georgia that we'll watch for the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning. This takes us to tomorrow morning, where much of North Georgia and West Georgia have already seen the rain moving out, but you can see the back edge of this really stretching from areas of Banks County down through Rockdale County to those areas of Meriwether County. The back edge of that at 7 o'clock in the morning continuing to move out. So we're going to hold on to a lower rain chance early tomorrow morning. Then everything moves out, and once that pushes out, our temperatures will be falling during the day here for your Wednesday. We're going to see actual temperatures in the afternoon, most likely in the 40s, whereas overnight we'll probably have some 60s around. So once that rain moves out, the wind is going to shift. It will be rather breezy out there, and we will see those conditions that are going to be really getting a lot colder here. Now, the reason we're talking about not only a threat for some stronger storms, we're talking about the potential for some pockets of heavy rain that could give us some isolated flooding. As you know, the models also not always are in total agreement, so we like to compare those models so you can see here what we're watching. The European model is showing in Atlanta, we could see about 2.5 inches of rain here in Duluth as well. Gainesville, Peachtree City, LaGrange, close to 2.5 inches, and maybe some of those higher amounts over to the east as well. Lower amounts to the north and west, but still we're talking between 1 and 2 inches in many areas. The The American model is actually showing some of those higher amounts. So we're saying maybe 3 to 3.5 inches in some spots. So what we do as meteorologists, we use these models as guidance and compare them with what we're actually seeing taking place. And we've been saying pretty much 1 to 3 inches of rain possible. I think most areas would get 1 to 2. There could be some isolated spots, though, that get 3 inches of rain as this system moves through. So I think the American model, with what we're seeing coming through right now, is kind of on the high end of what to expect, and I really think that the European model might be a little more realistic with that rainfall total, those rainfall totals as the system moves on through. So I want to take you back to this Rome Tower Cam. I know you can see that here at the bottom of the screen, but I want to show it to you full here right now, where you can see earlier when I showed you this camera, we were showing just some rain coming in. The flags weren't really blowing. Now the wind is kicking up more as that main part of this system is pretty much moving right over Floyd County right now. And you can see not only here the rain, the clouds that are moving in, but just look at that blowing rain as it's coming in here. Can you see that here as those raindrops coming down pretty well? The flag pole, not only the flags are blowing, but the entire pole is moving back and forth a little bit as well. So plenty to watch here with these storms as they continue to move through. I also want to show you the airport. You know, the visibility is lower, has lowered a little bit at the airport right now, where again, it's kind of hard to see the tower right here. We do have some rain in Atlanta at the airport. Cloud cover as well, lowering that visibility. But as of right now, we don't have any official weather delays that are widespread right now. Oftentimes we would show you 15 to 30-minute delays or an hour delays due to weather. As of right now, we don't have that, but we'll keep an eye on this through the rest of the afternoon, because it is possible that we could see some of those delays once we go through those the rest of the afternoon hours today. So here's another look as we reset here of what we're watching. Pretty good coverage of rain over all of our area, but the parts that we are watching a little more closely right now are these areas, again, on the south side, pockets of heavy rain. We did have a little bit of lightning with this on the south side earlier. That's moving up toward the north, so that, excuse me, is going to be closing in on the city of Atlanta in just a bit. But then in northwest Georgia, this is the part that is a little bit heavier, that has a little more instability with it, especially when this line in Alabama moves into this parcel of air, which is to the south and west of us in the city of Atlanta, where we have that level 2 risk for some of those scattered, stronger storms to move through. We're going to have to watch how this system interacts with that parcel of air, with the instability, and maybe even a little bit of shear with that is increasing somewhat. That could give us some stronger storms continuing through those afternoon hours today. Let me get in a little bit closer to this here in the Atlanta area, and you can see how that's closing in. I just showed you that tower cam out of the airport with the heavy rain. This is where the airport is located, right here on the south end of the perimeter there, South Fulton there in the northern parts of Clayton County. This is where we have the airport, and that confirms on radar what we were just showing you there at the airport with that rain that was coming down right now, and those lower visibility. So this is lifting up this way. So this is pushing in to the city of Atlanta. We have those heavier showers here back into Douglas County, out I-20, going to Carroll County. The other part of this here, south DeKalb, northern parts of Clayton County, northern Henry County, Rockdale County, also over into Newton County. Some of this extending northward into southern Gwinnett and also into Walton County. These storms are lifting up into this direction. So again, mainly not storms. We don't have any lightning with it, but we do have some heavy rain and some wind gusts in association with that too. I'll put this into motion for you so you can get a good look here at that motion. Again, it's on the south side now, but you see how it's lifting up toward us here in the city of Atlanta. So just know this is going to be over us as a lot of people are out to lunch, maybe running some errands here during their lunch hour here in this city. You're going to get some good rain coming in really in just a few minutes. But also that extends, as we mentioned, over into DeKalb County, Rockdale County, about to move into southern Gwinnett as well as into Walton County. So that's one aspect of this system that we are watching. Here is the other one, this in northwest Georgia. While I'm here, I'm going to put this back to live mode. And I also want to check out the velocity with this. So we do not see anything here with that area of rain on the south side that looks crazy as far as any rotation. We'll keep an eye on this stuff in northwest Georgia. There's a little bit that we're watching there, and again, this isn't a classic hook echo or anything, but we're just seeing some signals there in parts of north and west Georgia where we see the potential for maybe, something just to keep an eye on here. I'm putting on our storm tracks so we see if anything kind of shows up with any, early detections of rotation. Nothing really that stands out right now that looks too alarming here at this time. So again, here is a look at what we're watching with those storms there to the west of us and continuing to move into our direction. I want to end here. I'm going to go ahead and end this in just a couple of minutes. What we'll do is we will come back as soon as we need to, or before any warnings or anything are issued, just to kind of keep you updated on what we're watching through the rest of the afternoon hours. But North Georgia, even though you're seeing some of that heavy rain coming into Rome right now, the air is a little more stable here. But once you get toward Atlanta, the green color there indicating where we have that level 1 of 5 risk for some more isolated stronger storms that are possible. Not a guarantee that you will see severe thunderstorms or any tornadoes in that green area. It's just showing that there's a chance of just some isolated stronger storms possible there. Also watching this part though on the south side, including areas south of Atlanta, west central Georgia, a level 2 of 5 risk, meaning chances a little bit higher that we can see some storms, and they may be a little more than isolated. Might be some scattered stronger storms developing there. That's the parcel of air that we are really keeping a close eye on here as that line moves in and interacts with that parcel of air that indicates where we could see some of those stronger storms that would be developing out there for today. Tomorrow, all this is going to be out of here. We're going to see our temperatures falling. In fact, let me show you our temperature outlook here. Let me show you where we are right now as far as our temperatures. It is very mild here. We've pretty much been holding in the 60s for much of the morning hours, and we don't really think we're going to see any big jumps in temperatures through the afternoon. And look at this, it's all pretty uniform, all pretty much in the in the mid 60s right now. It's not even really much cooler up in the mountains of North Georgia. A lot of times we can see temperatures there 5-10 degrees cooler in the mountains of North Georgia, but it's very mild there. All pretty much 64, 65, 66 degrees. We do have 68 right now though down in LaGrange. So temperature is pretty uniform all around. As we go through the rest of the daytime hours, I just want to kind of walk you through some of these temperatures that we're watching here. Going through 5 o'clock, again, we think that will be around 66 degrees. I'm just looking to make sure we don't have anything new coming in right now. Yeah, we're all good right now. No new special weather statements or anything coming in right now. But let me take you through the nighttime hours. Notice this evening, we're still, this is at 10 o'clock. I'll move my head here so y'all can see the time frame there right at the top of my head. We are indicating here, okay, we have a new special statement, and I'll get back to the radar here in just a second. Strong thunderstorm in southeastern Floyd, northeastern Polk, and western Bartow counties. Thunderstorm near Cedartown, moving east at 35 miles an hour. So this is some good news actually. The last special weather statement that they issued, I'll show you this on radar in just a second here, was showing winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour. Now they're saying these winds are at about 40 miles an hour. So I'll take you back to that in just a second after I'll walk you through these temperatures. So this is at 9:30, 10 o'clock tonight. We're still in the 60s. Okay, look what happens after midnight. We're thinking at midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning, that's when we're going to have our high temperatures of the day for tomorrow. Watch how these temperatures fall through the morning, through the overnight. By morning at 7 o'clock, we'll be at about 76 degrees. Oh, I'm sorry, 46 degrees. So it's going to be cooler in the morning. It is going to be breezy. And then it will be holding pretty much in the 40s. This is at noon. Look at that, still 46 degrees. And then into the afternoon tomorrow, let's take you to 4, 5 o'clock. Temperatures pretty much hold right there at 46 degrees here for a big part of the day. So cold air is going to be in place tomorrow, much colder than what we're dealing with out there for today. Okay, another quick look at radar. You can see here what we're watching. You know, guys, in the control room, I think I'll just go ahead and go to 12:30, and we'll end this feed. We'll end this update at 12:30 as long as nothing new shows up here. And I'll tell folks on 11Alive Plus and on all of our streaming apps, YouTube, everything that we're on right now, that we will do additional extended updates throughout the afternoon to keep you posted on what's happening here with these storms that are moving through, and especially as they get closer to Atlanta. But here again is our look at those storms coming into northwest Georgia. That is the part there in southern Floyd and northern Polk County. This part right here has the heaviest rain and the strongest winds. As we mentioned earlier, when the Weather Service issued the special weather statement earlier, we were saying winds 40 to 50 miles an hour. Now, the latest statement is saying winds at 40 miles an hour, which, yeah, that's some strong wind, but at least maybe that wind component has come down a little bit as it moves more over to the east. But this is some really heavy rain that's moving in. And again, right here, you can see the tower cam in Rome, which is showing the flags blowing, maybe not as much as they were a little bit earlier. And plenty of heavy rain coming through Rome right now, too. This is all going to be moving up into Gordon County. Here's Calhoun. You got heavy rain on 75 north there in northwest Georgia there in Gordon County near Calhoun. This part of the system moving into Bartow County, where we're going to have that heavy rain and those strong winds moving in. Some of this is already heavy near Cartersville, north of Ackworth, and then back towards Cedartown, heavy rain in the northern parts of Polk County as the system moves on over to the east. Let me put it into motion for you again so you can see. Again, we're not seeing as much lightning with this now as we saw a little bit earlier. And even earlier, we only had a few lightning strikes with this. You know, let me put it back to live mode here, and I'm going to do another query just here in northwest Georgia to see if any lightning strikes are showing up. No. In the past 15 minutes, we haven't had any lightning strikes, where earlier it was 2 to 3. Now there are no lightning strikes. Now, lightning is not the only ingredient we need for severe weather. We also have to look at the winds and also any shear in the atmosphere where we can see any rotation developing. And right now, we don't see anything too alarming. We'll keep an eye on this part between Cedartown and Rome where that red and green is coming together right here. Again, that's not a really tight couplet or anything. Nothing to alarm us, but it is just showing just a little bit of kind of wonkiness that we're watching there within the atmosphere in that storm to see if that tightens up a little bit. But as of right now, we're not overly concerned about that. So here again is the big picture looking at these areas that we are watching as these storms roll our way, and that again, areas south and west of the city that have been elevated to a level 2 of 5 risk there for scattered storms that could turn strong as that line moves through. A little more instability. We could see a little shear developing, but let me tell you, the signals we look for in the models here of what we need for severe weather, nothing is too high, but there's just enough low ingredients with this that why we have to keep an eye on this, and that's why we've issued the weather impact alert for really the rest of the afternoon hours, most likely till about 7 or 8 o'clock tonight, as we're watching not only that potential for some stronger storms, but also with some of these bands of heavy rain, the potential for some isolated flooding. I don't think flooding would be really widespread, but it would be some isolated spots that could pick up some standing water. Flood-prone areas could see the water rising there as well for the afternoon hours and into the early evening. And those are the main areas that we're going to be watching here. So coming up in about a minute and a half, we'll take you back to your regularly scheduled programming here on 11Alive Plus and on all of our streaming products here. But Melissa Nord and I are here. She's in the control. She's back in the Weather Impact Center, updating all of our web products that are going out right now. We are going to continue keeping you posted throughout the afternoon here today as these storms are rolling on through, with that chance that, again, some of these could turn strong with wind. Heavy rain is the main threat. Wind is a lower end threat. A tornado risk is also on the low end for the rest of the afternoon. Really between now, 7, 8 o'clock tonight is the time we're watching very closely. All of this moving through where things could get a little more active. Melissa and I will break in for additional extended coverage here on 11Alive Plus and our streaming apps to give you more information throughout the afternoon that'll be coming up here for our area. So colder air will be arriving tomorrow. We're going to be dry and cold for the end of the week, and then into the weekend we're watching an additional system that'll come in to give us the potential for a few showers. Here's a look at our QR code if you want to scan that to get any more information about our severe weather, to help you download the 11Alive app. But of course, if you're watching here, you probably already have it, but you can get it on other devices as well. So we'll have more for you throughout the afternoon right here from the 11Alive Weather Impact team with the Weather Impact Alert in effect. Good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11Alive Weather Impact Team. We have issued a weather impact alert for the rest of the afternoon and into the evening hours as we are tracking bands of heavy rain and some storms that are moving through our area. The main threats that we're watching with these storms would be wind. There could be some strong winds within some of those individual storms. The highest risk that we're watching right now is rain, and that rain could be heavy at times. We're expecting between 1 and 3 inches of rain to fall as this system moves through. The other thing we're watching that's not a huge threat, but it's also not a zero threat, is the tornado risk. We're watching just a low risk that we could see some brief spin-ups occurring as this system moves through. Just not all of the ingredients are coming together to give us a solid, more confident feeling that the tornadoes will occur, but there's still just a very low risk that we could see some of those developing out there. Here is a look at radar. This is what we're watching right now. We have already seen a pretty good coverage of rain here over the Atlanta area. We've had some scattered showers moving through. If you were with us earlier, we did a 30-minute extended discussion on this between 12 and 12:30. We're now with you again for about 15 minutes here as we're tracking these storms moving through. This part was on the south side earlier. We were watching this lift up through Atlanta, and now that it's there on the north side, we've got a couple of lightning strikes with it in parts of Cobb County, East Cobb, and also North Fulton County. A couple of lightning strikes with that. So that's one area that we've been watching moving up this way. This is the other area we're watching that has been moving through northwest Georgia with the heavy rain. We have been watching some winds with that too. Earlier in Floyd and Polk County, we had some winds 40 to 50 miles an hour, but as it's moving in a little closer, we've noticed those winds have relaxed a little bit, and we don't have any additional special weather statements issued here by the National Weather Service. So we're going to keep an eye on that as it rolls our way, and then storms coming out of Alabama that we have to keep a close eye on as well. Here is a closer look at this into motion, and you can see that band that pushed through the Atlanta area is now moving here on the north side. I'm going to go back to live mode with this right now so that you can kind of get a closer look at what we're watching. And I want to zoom in to these storms as they have been moving through the area. And those will continue pushing on through and will start to die out through the rest of the afternoon hours here. Let me go in and you'll see here what we're watching with these storms here on the north side, where we do have those storms that are a little bit stronger. Let's go back to that close-up look right here, and you can see those areas that we're watching here with that heavier rain that continues to move on through. Here is the live mode. That heavier part is right here on the north end of the perimeter, really north of the north end of the perimeter. It's Sandy Springs, North Cobb, and North Cobb here, North Fulton County, heavier rain, and some of that extends into far western parts of Gwinnett County over toward the Norcross area, and that's moving up toward the north. And you can see right here around Sandy Springs and also there in East Cobb, Northeast Cobb County, we've got a couple of lightning strikes with this. Not a lot of lightning with these storms, but just a little bit of lightning, a few rumbles of thunder with the system moving in. And then move up to northwest Georgia, and you can see this band of rain that has been pushing through. This has been the heavier rain that continues to move through the area right now. It has pretty much gone through Rome. It was pretty heavy in Rome, but still, even though that heaviest part has gone through Rome, we still have some moderate rain left behind. There were a few more lightning strikes there with that in northwest Georgia. The heavier rain came through Calhoun, now more moderate. Now this heavier rain is stretching from Ellijay and Gilmer County up into Fannin County. Pickens County seeing some of that heavier rain coming out of Gordon and Bartow. So be aware of that in Cherokee County and Pickens County. The heavier rain is about to move into your area, as well as these storms extending down into parts of Polk County and Haralson County. This is the part that we're watching that's going to be getting closer to the Atlanta area in just a bit. And this has a better coverage there of that heavier rain from eastern Polk into northern parts of Haralson County. Some of that will move into Carroll in just a little bit, but I want you folks in Paulding County, also Douglas County, keep an eye on this as all of this is moving our way, and eventually that is going to push into the Atlanta area. Still, the main threats right now will be the heavy rain. We've got some gusty winds possible, and there's just that low risk that we can see a tornado developing out there, a brief spin up that could develop. We have not gotten any new statements from the National Weather Service, any special weather statements or anything coming in with updates on these storms. So these so far have just been good general showers, a little bit of thunder and lightning, but nothing too out of the ordinary with this right now. Here we go back to live mode, and I want to show you velocity. What we often watch for in velocity mode is to see if we have any rotation. I do not see anything standing out with any type of rotation in any of that right now. But again, something that we will keep a close eye on as these storms continue to move on through. There's another look at that in northwest Georgia. Those heavier showers in Ellijay stretching down, getting closer to Jasper. There in northern Bartow, getting closer to Cherokee County. And then there's this right here. The other thing I want you to see is on the south side, we had the heavier showers that moved through a little bit earlier. Those pushed through Atlanta. Now we have just general showers here on the south side, Coweta County, Troup County, Meriwether County, Pike Lamar County, Southern Henry, also in parts of Spalding County. But this is the part that I really want to keep an eye on through the rest of the afternoon hours. See how these storms are developing right now over the line from Georgia over into Alabama. You see Alexander City, Eclectic. There's Auburn, Alabama. If you go down 85 toward Auburn, these storms are just north of Auburn right now, and these are starting to develop a little bit more. Notice how as this was moving in, we see a little bit more of that heavy rain, but look at the lightning count coming up with that. This is the part of the storm system that we've been watching and anticipating that potential that some of those storms could be strong. So this is the part we really have to watch coming out of Alabama, moving into west central Georgia, because that cluster that we're beginning to see the evidence now of additional lightning strikes coming up, where that storm is getting a little bit stronger. As that moves into Georgia, we have to watch those areas near LaGrange into Meriwether County, over into Upson County near Thomaston, here on the south side for some of those storms that could turn strong. And that lines up with the latest update that we have from the Storm Prediction Center. That yellow color right there is where we have a level 2 of 5 risk for some severe storms to take place. So if you were watching us yesterday and early this morning, the level 1 risk, or the green color, was pretty much on the south side. That has now been expanded into Atlanta, and then the Storm Prediction Center has elevated this area into west central Georgia, including some of the south metro counties here, in a level 2 of 5 risk for some of those storms to turn severe. And as we've been anticipating, it's in this parcel that we're watching those storms back in Auburn are now developing in this region. So that's just showing that there's a few more of those ingredients there in eastern Alabama about to move into West Georgia that we have to watch very closely. So remember, north of Auburn is where we see those storms now. That's going to push into West Central Georgia, and it's this part of our area where we have that potential that some of those, some of those storms can turn strong with winds, and again, the potential low-level potential for some isolated or an isolated brief spin-up tornado. So the level 2 risk extends as far north as Henry County, southern Clayton, much of Fayette, much of Coweta, much of Heard County, and of course you've got Troup, Meriwether, Spalding County, southern Henry, as we mentioned, Pike Lamar counties, Upson County in that level 2 risk. And that extends down into areas of central Georgia as well, west central Georgia, those areas impacted for that potential for those stronger storms moving through. So this is the time frame of what we're watching. Really, now until about midnight is when we're going to see the rain moving through. I really think the storm risk will go down most likely, let's say 7 or 8 o'clock tonight, but we're still going to have those pockets of heavy rain, and we have to watch that potential for any isolated flooding. So we want you to stay weather aware really throughout the rest of the afternoon and into the evening before during the late night hours and overnight. We're going to see those risks coming down, but then the colder air is going to be moving in during the overnight hours as we have this weather impact alert in effect. Here is the timeline of what we're watching for the rest of the afternoon, and this shows that as we get through, again, there is that line, the main line. Now we have those individual cells here in our area, that main line through northwest Georgia that's going to keep moving on in for the rest of the afternoon. I'll just kind of walk you through this hour by hour once we get to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that line still holding together, approaching the Atlanta area, let's say between 3 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. This takes us to 5 o'clock right here, and you see that whole line still pretty much over us, really from northeast Georgia through Atlanta down toward the LaGrange area. All of the yellow and reds and oranges that you see right there, that is where we have those the potential for that heavier rain and some of the stronger storms that are moving on through. Once we get past 5 o'clock, going to 11 or going through 10 o'clock, that band of heavier rain will pretty much be pushing to the east, but it's still not over. We'll have additional surges of rain, which we don't think will be severe, but could be heavy. That will keep moving through our area through the overnight hours. And then by tomorrow morning, we're seeing the back edge. This is the time frame for 7 o'clock in the morning here. The back edge of that rain is pushing through Atlanta and then moving out. So we'll see the rain ending early tomorrow morning, but then look at this. The northwest flow comes in. That is going to be the much colder air. We're most likely going to have our high temperature tomorrow just after midnight, when it's going to be in the lower 60s just after midnight. Then we drop quickly overnight. The wind will be whipping up, and we'll see that colder air moving in. And we're probably going to wake up with temperatures falling from the 50s to the 40s in the morning. And then throughout the afternoon, most likely holding in the 40s all day long, with the wind that is going to be whipping up as well. Here's a look at the potential for some of the rainfall totals that we're watching here during the rest of the afternoon. The model's differing a little bit. The American model has some higher amounts there, 3+ inches of rain from Atlanta up to the north and east. The European model, which I think is a little more realistic, showing maybe 2 inches to 2.5 inches of rain along the I-85 corridor and eastward. Lighter amounts there. When I say lighter, I'm talking between 1 to 2 inches of rain possible in those spots there in parts of northwest Georgia. So we're expecting a good bit of rain. We need to watch. I don't think we'll have widespread flooding, but we will need to watch any flood-prone areas where we could see some water collecting and runoff on the roads as well. That could cause some hydroplaning and ponding there on the roadways. And then just get ready for that really cold air that's going to be moving on in. So let's look back here at radar. You can see what we're watching. We'll end this special report at 1:15. Melissa and I are going to do an extended update on 11Alive on TV for about 5 minutes at about 1:22 or so. And then we'll come back on 11Alive Plus and all of our streaming apps a little bit later on as these storms get a little bit closer to the Atlanta area. But as you can see, we've already had this one wave move through coming in from the south. All right, that moved through Atlanta earlier. That's on the north side. And as it's moved to the north, here's a couple of new lightning strikes there in southern Forsyth County, right there on the line from Fulton to South Forsyth, right there at West Gwinnett, where we see a couple of lightning strikes. So don't be surprised if you're hearing some rumbles of thunder, but there's just not a lot of lightning with that. So that's moving to the north. Here's the next band that's moving in, where we have a little bit of lightning there in northern Polk County, southern Bartow County. You're most likely hearing some thunder there with that line that's going to be moving to the Atlanta area. But this part right here that you're seeing north of Auburn, that's getting closer to LaGrange, this is the thunderstorm complex that we really have to keep a close eye on here. That has a lot of lightning that's ramping up. We'll keep an eye on that moving into LaGrange, Heard County, Coweta County, Meriwether County as well, because this is that parcel of air through the afternoon hours where we think we'll have a little more instability and a little higher chance in that level 2 of 5 risk area, where some of those storms could get strong heading into the afternoon hours. And again, those main threats would be some wind with them. Heavy rain is the biggest threat, and then that tornado risk is on the lower end for the afternoon hours today and into the evening. And again, after we get through the evening hours, we're thinking that the severe weather risk is going to go down, but we'll still be watching some pockets of heavy rain moving through, and we'll still have to watch for that flooding risk with this system moving through. So the weather impact alert remaining in effect here through about midnight with those threats of heavy rain, the wind kicking up in some of those storms, and also the potential for a low risk for an isolated tornado developing in here. So just really be weather aware through the rest of the afternoon. Melissa and I will have more updates for you throughout the afternoon afternoon here at 11Alive Plus on all of our streaming apps, as well as on 11Alive. Of course, all of our coverage beginning at 4 o'clock this afternoon as well. If you want to check in on weather at any time, you can scan this QR code and you can get more information about downloading the 11Alive app, as well as being able to check out our 11Alive News app as well to see radar at any time, and join our 11Alive Weather Impact group on Facebook.